Let's talk about the Habs. Remember that year where they made it to the Stanley Cup final? Yeah, that was a miracle. A glorious Cinderella run with a terrible ending. Two of our legends played their last game on the ice in that final against Tampa Bay and Bud Light chugging Kucherov, so that wasn't ideal. But anyways, after that epic run, things got bad, like really bad. But then a miracle happened again. The front office got fired. Can you believe it? Finally, someone realized that maybe, just maybe, they weren't the best at their job. So now we're in this long-awaited rebuild phase that fans have been begging for a long time. So let's see where this roller coaster is heading, shall we? Alright, so this new Habs management team didn't waste any time to shake things up. Tyler Toffoli, just gone. Ben Sherratt, shipped off. Brett Kulak and Good Stick Lucky, also gone. And all this for a mix of first-round picks and a second-round pick and some new faces like Justin Barron and Emil Heineman. Fans were stoked. Like, wow, we're actually doing this? And then came draft night in Montreal, where Kent Hughes kicked off things by taking Uri Slafkovsky at first overall, a move that was so controversial that just mentioning his name on the Habs subreddit was enough to get you banned. So after the standard boos from the fans, Gary Bettman walked on stage and dropped two bombshell trades involving the Habs. First up, we traded Alex Romanov and a 4th rounder to the Islanders for the 13th overall pick. More boos followed naturally, but then Hughes hit us with a whole switcheroo, flipping that 13th pick and a 2nd rounder for Kirby Dach. You know, the big 6'4" center with skills. It was the kind of trade that Bergevin said was impossible to do, like something out of a PlayStation game, but nope, Kent Hughes pulled it off in real life. Just an absolute legend. Now, after all those picks and trades, there was one name the Habs fans were dying to hear: Lane Hutson. Pick 26 came and went, pick 33 came and went, and we didn't pick again until 62nd because of the Dach trade, but when 62nd finally hit, boom! Hudson was still chilling on the board and the Habs jumped all over it. Future star defenseman? Check. Rebuild? Officially rolling. Then came the wild ride that was the free agency. Jeff Petrie? Well, his wife wasn't exactly vibing with Canada's COVID rules, so Petrie had to peace out. It looked rough at first, but Hughes, always playing chess while we're all playing checkers, swapped him for Mike Matheson, who basically has been a rock star on the Habs blue line, shredding as one of the top offensive D-men in the NHL. Oh, and let's not forget the most complicated trade in NHL history. The Habs traded for Sean Monahan and received the 1st round pick that might or might not materialize sometimes around 2046. Nobody really knows. The plan was for Monahan to stay healthy after battling hip issues for years, but of course, the hockey gods had a different plan. He played 25 games before, surprise, getting injured again. By the time the 2023 trade deadline rolled around, the Habs had, well, an injured Monahan, which no one was super keen to roll the dice on, so the Habs just kicked back, watched the trade deadline pass, and probably ordered a pizza or two. Then the 2023 offseason kicked in, and the Habs wasted no time dipping into their surplus of draft picks to grab a player who wasn't getting the love he needed in Colorado, so they sent their 1st round pick they snagged in the Ben Sherratt trade to the Panthers, along with their own 2nd rounder to lend Alex Newhook, who by the way was drafted literally 1 pick after Caulfield in 2019. The Newhook trade got some kind of meh reception from the fans. People knew Newhook had some untapped potential. The dude got speed, his NCAA numbers were good, but fans were scratching their heads a bit, wondering why we were adding another sub-6-foot player to the mix. Then came the draft, and at 5th overall, the Habs selected David Reinbacher, a big, mobile, right-shot defenseman. Sounds solid, right? Except they passed on Matvei Mishkov, a guy who'd been hyped as the next big thing alongside Bedard for years. Let's just say that some fans were disappointed and some, well, they were straight up losing it. You gotta love Habs fans, most passionate fan base in the NHL by far, but it's a double-edged sword, and boy, did that sword swing hard in the week after the draft. Then free agency rolled in, and the Habs decided to shed some salary by trading Joel Edmundson to the Washington Capitals, who, by the way, somehow just landed another 4-year extension in LA for more money than his previous deal. Like, what's even happening in LA? What the hell? Anyway, The Habs also re-signed Sean Monahan to a one-year deal, probably hoping for a second crack at flipping him at the deadline, and then the offseason took a turn for the weird. The Habs reacquired Jeff Petrie, and in return we got a second-round pick for helping out with some salary, while Mike Hoffman took the other way to Pittsburgh. It's funny how just a few years ago I was actually somewhat happy we signed Hoffman to a 3-year deal. That's just how bad the team was at the time. But wait, there's more. We didn't keep Petrie too long though. We flipped him to Detroit while keeping $2.3 million of his salary until the end of the 24-25 season. And Casey DeSmith that we also got in that trade, we shipped him to Vancouver for a 3rd round pick. So in the end, just a classic Gorton Hughes asset management move. Another offseason under the belt for the Gorton Hughes duos, and not a bad one at that. Montreal being Montreal, by the end of September, start of October, everyone's buzzing with optimism about the Habs, and as usual, we overhyped the heck out of the team. Last season was no different, but those high hopes, they came crashing down fast when in the 4th period of the season, Kirby Dach got knocked out for the rest of the season with a knee injury. Then Savard got hurt in October, and Slavkovsky's slow start left the fans wondering where the big leap in his game was. It felt exactly just like the few previous seasons. Injuries were just gonna massacre the season once again. The Habs were fun to watch and exciting to watch, but couldn't score, they also couldn't defend, and were basically bottom 10 in everything. Goals for, goals against, power play, penalty kill, you name it, we were bottom 10. So by the time the trade deadline rolled around, it was clear the Habs would be sellers once again. When the Canucks snagged Elias Lindholm on January 31st, Kent Hughes didn't wait too long to cash in on the hot market for centers. He flipped Sean Monahan to the Winnipeg Jets for another 1st round pick. That's 2 1st round picks for Sean Monahan. That's good business. They also shipped Jake Allen out, retaining some salary for a 3rd rounder, and that was pretty much the Habs trade deadline. Nothing too wild, but hey, it got the job done. Now, even though the 2023-2024 season ended with the Habs hanging out near the bottom of the standing in pretty much every category, things were weirdly positive. You could feel the energy, you could feel the team spirit and the brotherhood this new management was trying to build. Players like Jacky locked down his spot in defense and became a key piece of the team. Mike Matheson was out there putting up a ridiculous 62 points, and Newhook, he turned on the Jets at the end of the season, finishing up with 12 points in his last 15 games, flying around the ice with his dynamic speed in every shift. Others like Joshua Roy looked like future top 6 options, showing poise and huge potential at the NHL level, and the top line of Slavkovsky, Caulfield, and Suzuki finished the season as one of the best line in all of hockey with the 3rd highest expected goals in the NHL. So sure, we were down in the standings, but the morale of the team and the fans was through the roof. Fans could really see the direction this team was headed, and honestly, it's looking bright. As the season rolled on, it became pretty obvious the Habs were heading for another high draft pick for the 3rd year in a row. It was also pretty clear the team was missing that offensive pop we all craved. But with San Jose and Chicago out there doing their best tank job ever, our shot at the 1st overall was looking very slim. So our hope quickly turned to Caden Lindstrom or Ivan Demidov, who was destroying the junior league in Russia. And between you and me, Demidov was way higher on my list even before the season started. And then somehow the hockey gods smiled down on us, and boom, the Habs grabbed their future offensive superstar in Demidov. I mean, dreams do come true sometimes, right? But wait, it didn't stop there. Before the draft even kicked off, Kent Hughes pulled a little bit of magic out of his hat, trading the 26th overall pick and a 2nd rounder to move up to the 21st spot. Why they did that? Because they had their eyes on Michael Hage, a dynamic offensive threat who made the Habs draft night feel like an emotional roller coaster in the best way possible. Then came the summer rumors. Montreal and a bunch of other teams were apparently interested in trading with Columbus for Patrick Laine. Fast forward to August 19, and guess what? Montreal, for once, actually landed the player they were interested in, along with a 2nd round pick for Jordan Harris. I mean, what a move. Another day and another piece of asset management brilliance by Kent Hughes. So now, with the preseason rolling and real hockey just around the corner, the big question is, where do the Habs stand in their rebuild? Are they a better team? And I'd say, it's looking pretty damn good. In the last 3 years, Gorton and Hughes have been cooking. They've added Kirby Dach, Alex Newhook, Juraj Slavkovsky, and oh yeah, Patrick freaking Laine into our top 6. And they didn't stop there. Mike Madison's been holding it down on the top D pair, and they've got future studs like Demidov, Michael H, Reinbacher, Lane, Shaky Bakey, freaking Hudson ready to join the party. And these aren't just random pickups either. Every piece fits like a puzzle. They've managed to avoid that too many of the same player problem. Buffalo. In my opinion, phase 1 of the rebuild, it's done. No more hoarding picks like their Pokemon cards. Now it's time for phase 2 where these guys learn to actually win together. Baby steps, people. Now, integrating young defensemen into a lineup and trying to win is a process that's a little bit tricky and unpredictable. But with Hudson and Mailloux and Reinbacher and Engstrom on the way, our blue line is going to be a fun ride. Sure, they will make mistakes, but after just 3 years of rebuilding, we've got a solid core, and let's give a little slow clap to Bargain Bin Bergevin. He left behind Suzuki and Caulfield, Gooley, Jacky, Mailloux, and a salary structure that wasn't a complete dumpster fire compared to the actual salary cap hell he left the team in. Good job, buddy. Now, if we compare the team to last season, we're cruising, baby. The top 6 looks tasty with Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slavkovsky back on line 1, and then you've got Dach, Laine, and Newhook bringing the sauce on line 2. If Laine and Dach can avoid the injury curse, and if Slav, Newhook, and Roy can level up a little bit, we're talking 30, 50 more goals. Sure, maybe Suzuki's total will drop a little bit because Laine and Dach are hogging some opportunities, but it's all good. Overall, it's just more firepower. So, are the Habs better than last year? Yeah, you bet they are. Defending is still going to be a little bit like watching a cat trying to swim, but we've got 2 legit top 6 lines now. Teams can't just shut down one line and call it a night anymore, and Hudson's going to give Madison a break by stealing some of that sweet power play time. It's all coming together, people. Are we a playoff team? Maybe not yet, but for the first time, this squad's gonna play some real meaningful hockey and learn how to compete together. So Habs fan, get your popcorn ready. It's gonna be a ride. Peace.